Yo, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Dark Forest. This is the sequel to The Three-Body Problem. And it's the second book in this trilogy of books by Cixin Liu, and the third book is Death's End, which I have not read yet. So anyway, if you want to watch my review of The Three-Body Problem before you watch this review, just type in my last name, Durfee, and The Three-Body Problem, and that review will magically appear upon your television screen or phone, or, that's if you type those words into the YouTube search bar. I mean, it's complex, but I think you guys can do it. Came out in 2008, translated by Joel Artenson. These other two books were translated by Ken Liu out of the original Chinese, and but the translation, both translators are good. I guess. I have no idea. I don't know anything about translating anything from Chinese into English, but both translators make these books very accessible to read, very easy to read, and the prose seems to stand out on its own. Let's talk about the cover first, because I like graphic design, cover illustration. This book, as with these two books, has a great cover illustration by the illustrator Stephen Martineri. We put all three books together, and they look great together like that. They look like they match. And then we do this. We always do the spines, and the spines look like they match, so it looks like a great set of books to have. Of course, I have the hardcover versions. I'm assuming the paperback versions look just as dope. Well, maybe not quite as dope, because they're paperback. I mean, hardcover is just doper than paperback. But that's a whole nother video we can do. Anyway, so what's happening? Book 2, don't want to spoil much from book 1, but the Trisolarians are coming. These are a alien race that are headed towards Earth. All the Earth people know that they're headed here, but it's going to take them a lot of light years to get here. So the Earthlings, people on Earth, have a lot of time to sort of prepare for this. Is it going to be a peaceful first contact? Is it going to be an alien invasion? Are they going to kill us all? Well, what's going to happen? There's a lot of speculation. A lot of religions start cropping up over this thing. A lot of different beliefs start cropping up over this thing. These spaceships are there's thousands of them coming. Thousands and thousands, and they can see them in the telescopes racing towards Earth at light speed, but it's going to take them a while. In fact, I will just mention, the Earth is sort of divided up into a bunch of different factions. There's a faction called the Escapists, and we'll just talk about them first. Kind of like, they are like, okay, how do we, there's several ways to get out of this problem. Let's just build starships and go to a new world. Well, let's send a small portion of, Earth is doomed, let's get a big starship, send a small portion of people out to a new world. That'll solve it. Everybody else will die, but at least humanity will live on a new world. Although that will take thousands of years to reach a new world, so that's risky. The other thing is the starship civilizations. Like, let's just build big starships, and let's build enough of them that all of us from Earth can just go away from Earth on these starships. And they'll be generation ships. They'll just be big. We can live on them. They will be self-sustaining. And we'll just fly off into the wherever, right? And then there's other people that are like, well, let's just sort of wait for the aliens to come, and then try to let them invade us, and let's just live with them peacefully, and however they want to rule us, we'll just let them rule us. So there's a lot of different things. Now, and as we get to this, so the book #1, kind of the Three-Body Problem, sort of set up the problem. Now this is them trying to deal with the problem. And I'm guessing book 3 is them, the problem shows up. I'm hoping. because I want to see what happens, you know? But this one, they're just trying to come up with ideas. How do we deal with this? And it's going to take a lot of years. And the characters from this book have aged quite a bit. So this book has got like a lot of different characters in it. There's a few holdover characters from this book, but characters is not, that's not the important thing. The characterizations. The characters in these books are just mere sort of conduits, vehicles to explain to us the grand scientific ideas that are running through the author's head. And I'm telling you, these ideas, it's like reading a science book or an astronomy book by Carl Sagan or something, where he's just like explaining different science fiction things like space and concepts and physics and things like that you'd never thought of before, and all this because the characters are trying to figure out this dilemma, and so they're just idea after idea after idea, and every idea is just more mind-blowing than the next. And so the characters are just kind of like, I compare this a lot to Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy, where it was all about just the big idea, and the characters were just kind of there to help the reader along with explaining the big ideas. So I'm not even going to really mention many of the, well, I actually will mention some of the characters. But I want to read to you, this is going to be a longer review for me, because I was just really thought this book was dope. So far, the two books are dope. I want to talk to you about the Wallfacers. Now, the Wallfacers, and rather than try to butcher it with my own explanation, I'm going to just kind of, I'm going to read a few passages out of the book. I don't like reading passages out of books, but I'd just rather the author describe to you what's happening. So, there's a lot of I want to do a little philosophical before I tell you what the Wallfacers are in this. There's a lot of philosophy in this book too, and some of it struck me as pretty interesting. So, one of the philosophies was, and I think it's the theme of the book, and when we talk about the Wallfacers, you'll understand. So, these are the characters talk. There's a lot of conversations in this book between characters when they talk about, physics, philosophy. This is one of those conversations. I was going to tell you how to trick people. Just remember this. Real shrewdness means not letting any shrewdness show. It's not like in the movies. The truly astute don't sit in the shadows all day striking a pose. They don't show off that they are using their brains. They look all carefree and innocent. Some of them are tacky and mawkish, others careless and unserious. What's critical is to not let others think you're a person of interest. Let them look down on you or dismiss you, and they won't feel like you're an obstacle. You're just a broom in the corner. The pinnacle of this is to make them not notice you at all, as if you don't exist, until the moment right before they die at your hands. I really like that passage because it's kind of foreshadowing a lot of what is going on in this book. And I'm going to read you page 100 because it talks about the Wallfacers, which is really what this book is all about. So I'm going to describe to you what the Wallfacers are, and then I'm going to tell you who they are, because there's specific characters in the book that are the Wallfacers. So, and this will be probably the most lengthy reading I've ever done on the channel, but bear with me, it's worth it. So, at its heart, okay, so this is describing the Wallfacer project. At its heart, the project consists of selecting a group of people to formulate and direct strategic plans. They will develop their plans entirely in their own minds, with no communication of any kind with the outside world. Now, the reason they're doing that is because the aliens can, they're very sneaky. Anyway, the true strategy of these plans, the necessary steps for completion, and the ultimate aims will remain hidden inside the brain. We shall call them the Wallfacers, because that ancient Eastern name for meditators mirrors the unique characteristics of their work. As they direct the execution of their strategic plans, the thoughts and behaviors these Wallfacers present to the outside world will be entirely false. A carefully crafted menage of disguise, misdirection, and deception. The subject of this misdirection and deception will be the entire world, both enemy and ally, until a huge, bewildering maze of illusion is erected to make the enemy lose its judgment and to delay as long as possible the moment it works out our true strategic intent. These Wallfacers will be granted extensive powers that will enable them to mobilize and exploit a portion of the Earth's existing military resources. As they carry out their strategic plans, the Wallfacers need not make any explanation for their actions and commands, regardless of how incomprehensible their behaviors may seem to be. Monitoring and control of the Wallfacer activities will be undertaken by the UN Planetary Defense Council, the sole institution granted the authority to veto Wallfacer commands under the UN Wallfacer Act. To guarantee the continuity of the Wallfacer project, the Wallfacers will take advantage of hibernation technology to bridge the centuries to the doomsday battle. And when and under what circumstances they will be awakened and for how long will be decided by the Wallfacers themselves. Over the next 4 centuries, the UN Wallfacer Act will exist under international law on a level equal to the UN Charter and will act in concert with the national laws to guarantee the execution of the Wallfacers' strategic plans. The Wallfacers are undertaking the most difficult mission in human history. They will truly be on their own, their souls closed off to the world, to the entire universe. Their only communication partner and sole spiritual support will be just themselves. Shouldering this great responsibility, they will pass through the long years. So let me speak for all humanity to offer them our deepest respect. So these Wallfacers, because they understand that their enemy is shrewd enough to figure out battle plans instantaneously. So they want the Wallfacers to just never, to keep the strategic plans in their minds, to never communicate with anybody, and to just execute them. Because if they speak them aloud, if they do anything, let on anything, the enemy will know. So they choose 4 people to be Wallfacers. The first one is Frederick Tyler, a retired U.S. Secretary of Defense. They choose Manuel Del Rey, the Venezuelan president after Hugo Chavez. So one of the things that I noticed about this book, which I took exception to, there's so much good about this book, but I remember this part. So this book was written in 2008. And Cixin Liu is sort of projecting what he thinks the world will be like a long time from now. Well, in 2008, he was thinking that Venezuela, clearly a socialist country under Hugo Chavez, would be taken over by this Manuel Diaz, and socialism would just be flourishing. And he's built up Venezuela as this flourishing socialist utopia, and Americans can't stand having a socialist utopia, of course. And so America goes to war with Venezuela, and because but the Venezuelans just kick our ass because socialism is awesome, and everybody wants to fight for it, and it's just awesome. This is Cixin Liu's prediction of what happens to Venezuela. Clearly, he was way off with that, because this was written in 2008 when people were kind of like, yeah, Venezuela's doing all right with their socialist experiment. Well, we know now that it failed miserably, and it's just like complete misery in Venezuela. So I don't know whether Cixin Liu, if that was his anti-American dream that he just sort of put in the book, or if it was just like a random, well, I'll try to predict, whatever. But anyway, I was just like, okay, he butchered that. He got that one way wrong. But anyway, that's one of the Wallfacers, was this superhuman Venezuelan president that came after Hugo Chavez and carried on the greatness of socialism and pissed off all the Americans, and we went to war with them, and then they kicked our asses because socialism reigns. Anyway, the other person is Bill King's, I can't remember, Kingsley or something like that. He's an Englishman, a very aristocratic Englishman. He's very refined, two-time Nobel Prize winner for science. And then the 4th person, the most interesting, is a person named Liu Ji, a Chinese, just a random, ordinary Chinese dude. Nothing spectacular. He's just pick a random dude off the planet, and he's going to be one of the Wallfacers. One of these people is going to supposedly say, I did not give away any spoilers here. Did you think that I just talked a lot about this book? and it said a lot of stuff about the plot. Oh my God, I didn't even scratch the surface. I just shared with you some of the interesting things. Well, another one of the interesting things about this book is some of the science experiments that you do out in space, which was, I didn't know, but you shoot a pistol in space, bullets in space, how do they behave? I'm not going to tell you what it says, but it's fascinating that what they take guns in space and shoot them. I mean, they didn't know if they're going to work. Or did they work? Maybe they didn't work. I don't know. You'll have to find out. Anyway, I give the Dark Forest 10 out of 10, just the same as I gave. I mean, it's fucking amazing.